got a new landscape here. They've done the right thing by putting the lawn in first. I'm not sure how far along the grass is, but what we'll be doing, we're going to make a bed that's going to come out into the grass. Where I'm standing will actually be bed, and the right way to do it is to put the grass in first so we can get some sort of a semblance of a nice edge, which we'll be doing today. And then I'm going to till peat moss into this. It's almost mandatory that you do that on a planting job. People that use just raw soil, there's no such thing as good soil when it comes to planting. You've got to amend this stuff. And we have 20 bales of peat moss to work with, and more if I need it. We're going to use all of that. What I'll do is we'll clean this off with a weed eater, get it down to bare dirt, till the peat. We'll rough till this, then till the peat moss in with it. Get our bed built, then grade it off, and we'll end up having a nice planting bed. Ideally, you'd build the beds, you'd plant your shrubs, and then mulch. Everything would be done in one fell swoop. Whether we'll have the luxury of doing that all the day or not, I don't know, but we can at least get it done in increments that will make sense. But you really need to pay attention to how to build these beds. It's one of the biggest mistakes. Homeowners, landscapers, everybody seems to think that it's just fine to use raw soil, put plants in it, put mulch over it. You couldn't be building yourself a worse future if you tried. You need to get the peat moss in for your future so everything's easy, plants thrive, everything works better, and it's a simple process, but you only get one chance to do it right, and that's with nothing in the way. So we have that in front of us today. So here's the front of the house that we're going to do a bed. We're going to put a balloon edge out on the end of it. I've talked about that in that book. It's going to be really effective, and this is the perfect scenario for it. You've got a raised look from the main point of view. You drop that balloon edge down there, and excuse me. And Cheryl wants a hydrangea tree. Saw a hydrangea tree, and we have a beautiful spot for it right there. Lot of good potential there that you might not be able to use such a thing if you didn't give it room, and we're going to give it plenty of room with a nice arced balloon edge out that way. Okay, my brother's working from home today, so we're not going to bother him with some of the stuff. I'll go ahead and do my best to sort of just show you what we're doing here without bothering him. Some of the video won't have me, and I don't think that's going to bother anybody. I've taken a hose to do this balloon edge. That's going to be a starting point. Well, our finished edge won't look anything like that, but at least do that to give you a gauge of how to get started, to give you at least an eyeball look of where to start cutting your edge. What's not as forgiving is a straight edge. Here we have a straight edge. I hope you can see the string line I've laid. That string line goes right exact to where we're going to tie into, and comes exactly. I've used the rake to measure, so I'm roughly. I mean, maybe it's not to the inch. I could use a tape measure, but we all, your degree of tolerance should cover that. It's going to look straight as can be. What's funny, and I'll show you this. Now it looks pretty straight from here, I guess, but at first it didn't, and I stood up on the porch and looked the other way, and of course it's perfect. So don't trust your eye. Use something to measure with. And we run that right straight down. Now I'm going to cut that edge pretty aggressively because there's no way that's not going to be the edge. When I get to the balloon, I'm just going to score that edge, and we're going to keep taking looks at that until we get it right. Let me get cutting on that, then I'll come back and we'll see how this progresses. Here we have the edge established now. The trick now is going to be, you see how I've cut the edge, and of course there we have some peat moss staged up. But we're ready here. Once you get it like this, we're ready now to take the tiller, and what I'm going to do is rough till this. I'm going to till this existing soil before I till the peat moss in. See all the grass clumps and all that has to be tilled under, and we have to get at least some decent aggregates there before I can work the peat moss in with it. Also notice I came along the edge. Not only did I cut the edge, but I had to come along with a shovel in this case and scoop maybe a foot or so in from the edge, so we don't lose. When I'm doing the tilling, a lot of that's going to spill downhill. There's no way to avoid that, and the last thing we want to do is lose the edge. So we've been very careful on how to protect that. It's going to spill down in here, but I won't lose the edge. There'll be a lot of dirt that comes down toward it, and in some places might actually go over it, but I won't lose the edge now because I've taken the extra precaution to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and rough till it now, then we'll stage up the peat moss and do the final tilling and grade the bed, and we'll be ready to plant. All right, this gives you an idea of how much peat moss to put in there. We've got the edge rough tillings done. Peat moss is now staged. Making a little bit of a mess. But you can see we're going to try to get about a third mix here in the original tilling. Looks like we're set up to do that. But there's how much peat moss you want. You want to be sure when you get the one chance to do this that you do it right. Plenty of peat moss. The objective is going to be to get about a third amendment into 2/3 topsoil and about, let's say 8 to 10 inches deep. And we'll probably get that with this. If not, we'll be close enough. It'll be really good dirt, and we'll do well with the planting. But now it's time to do the final tilling and then grade it off and do some planting. Now this bed's ready for plants. We'll be putting the plants in on Friday. Then you hand grade as you put the plants in to make that grade perfect. And then when you put the mulch on it, this is going to be a really nice landscape. The design's nice. We don't have all the shrubs yet, but it's going to look nice when we leave here on Friday. I can't tell you the exact square footage of what we're doing here, but we took up 17 bales of peat moss in here, the 3.8 cubic feet. And that's going to be really, really nice stuff to work with. The planting will fly. I mean, now this is a lot of work to get to this point, but once you get to this point, now for the rest of this landscape's life, this bed will be easy to work. The plants will thrive. Everything will be worth, the long day we put in today. Just okay. That's how you prep a bed for planting. I hope you all do it. If you take a shortcut and don't do this, it's the worst mistake I think you can make with a landscape. All right, day 2 here. We've done our prep work, and we went through a lot of hard work to do this. And I know it's hard to do the prep work, but now I'm going to show you why you do that. We're going to plant a shrub. It's a burning bush. We're going to have a little arched hedge here, and I'm just going to plant one for the time's sake, and to show you quickly how easily this will go, I hope. I have, you want to be on your knees, knee pads, good leverage. These are the shovels you want to find. You really don't want to be standing up and bending over and stooping and all that stuff. I brought this in case we need it. A pickaxe. You can do all this work down here, right down here on your knees. Much easier on you than trying to stand up and bend over with those long round point shovels and all that. Try to learn how to get on your knees to do the planting. The first thing you do, the other thing I should say, from traditional planting, you won't have to go twice as wide as the ball here or anything like that. With this soil that we have out here and what we've done to it now, the shrubs are going to grow fine without all that extra 2 times as wide, fill the hole with water, all that stuff's out the window. We've taken care of all that with good soil prep. Once we get it in, and you may want to water the shrubs, but usually you can wait until you get the mulch on it to do any watering. But as far as planting goes, all we're going to do is I've placed them here where I want them. Now you just score out where you're going to put the shrub, and then with this nice round point shovel, just go a little bit wider. Make sure you have good dirt consistent with the peat moss. I knew that was going to bleed. You look bloody doing this. You see, as far as digging a hole for a shrub, that's pretty easy work. And as far as knowing the shrub's going to be fine and living, that's even better yet. Shrub itself, you just take out of the ball, pop that in there. Now, you're going to notice on most shrubs, every now and then you get one that's kind of root bound from the nursery. You can use pruners to come up and score that. I don't need to, but if I did need to, I would just take the pruners and come up like this and cut those, get a cut into these roots. I can do it with my hands here. See what's happening there? I'll pull them out. That helps them adhere to this soil more quickly. Just agitate the side of the ball like that. The next thing to do is try to get the shrub's best side facing the point of view. It usually will be okay if you don't, but sometimes you make a big mistake, especially on a specimen like this one. We're going to take a lot of time making sure that's facing the right way. But these are burning bush, so this is just going to be a hedge. But still try to get the best side facing, or at least a good side, facing the point of view. And the point of view here, of course, is off to the corner there about the driveway. Bring everything in right to the level of the soil. The next thing you do, you heel it in. You take the heel. You don't be tap dance or anything like that. You take your heel, hold the shrub in place, take your heel. You'll see it better when I come around. And shove downward and a little bit in toward the shrub, that's all. Heel it in, keep it nice and straight. A little extra packing here with your hands. Bring the dirt in around it. I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes when the shrub planted. And now I'm just going to do that with the rest of them. And you'll notice too that I've tamped this. I've walked this in good. I have a lot of weight. My weight will be here as I'm planting. I'll be all over the place on my hands and knees, packing, and hand grading my way out. And when I'm all done, I'll take one more walk over, just make sure it's tamped good. Then I'll take my 3-foot grader and I'll grade this bed off perfectly, rating for mulch. Once we get it mulch, you'll see a nice landscape. I'm sure it's going to be a beauty. Okay, for now. Okay, here's what we tried to get to. It took a while. All the hard work and all that pays off, and this is what you eventually wind up with. We've gone from nothing to something there. It'll be a very nice landscape. Some parts aren't quite done yet. We're going to put in some lilies on the bottom. Some barberry is going to go up on the top there, but for the most part, the beds are built, mulch job done, and I didn't go through much of the mulching because I've done that in a previous video. It doesn't change from place to place. You'll notice the shrubs aren't collared. Notice up by the foundation, you know, how nice and straight that is. It's not all wavy and all that goofy stuff that we tend to not think about. Notice there's no handprints on the nice siding there. No, that's another common thing. Guys hold on, they're not on their knees, so they're holding on to stuff. And this is how you want it to look when you're done. Nice crisp edge. You know, we put a couple rocks in there, nice hydrangea trees, some real points of interest. And as this matures, it will be a very nice landscape. We're going to have a burning bush hedge right here. Nice big hydrangea trees, some Korean lilacs down there. A lot of color, a lot of flowers going on. The barberry will add a nice red tone to it, things like that. So that's all well thought out. And then the workmanship, of course, this is how you make it easy on yourself, and it'll always look like this. If you work in sequence and you know, just follow the basics, and this is what you should always wind up with right here. I'm real happy with it.